Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Justin from Methodist up there in North Carolina. Welcome, Coach.
Hello, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Glad to have you here. Now, folks know I'm a D3 guy through and through. So, back in we wouldn't have crossed, but maybe one season we would have crossed paths. But Catholic never played Methodist. Probably good for me in that instance, because you guys have always been a nice power program there on the men's side. So, we're sitting here talking. We were just chatting for more. You got the Raleigh Showcase coming up this weekend, so you're heavy in recruiting mode now that the season's
Yep.
over.
Yep.
So for you guys, when are you really starting to talk to players? When that we really getting going in the recruiting process? What year in high school, or as we're here in December, are you finishing up the 23s, or is that done and you're really focused on 24s? What's that look like?
It's never ending for us. It's a constant cycle. We have continued to communicate with players all year round. Of course, in the fall, it's very difficult when you have a 20 game schedule and you're training every day. And then, of course, you have to, manage the season and the time and your own life and your family. So during the fall, I would say it would be kind of our pause in recruiting. We will take visits during the fall. We will communicate in a general way in the fall, just updating everybody how we're doing. But really, as soon as the season is over, like you said, we just drop it down into turbo and we get after it and we go out to tournaments. We've already been to 2 ECNL events. Of course, this is our big weekend in our home state with NCFC Showcase. And then we have been going to Disney, but we're skipping Disney this year, and we're going to be going to the 2 ECNL showcases in January down in Florida. So we're ECNL or bust right now. We are all in, and North Carolina Football Club obviously is near and dear to my heart, being that it's my home state's club, and also my 2 children play for North Carolina Football Club. So we're all in this weekend. We're actually going to have myself, my assistant coach, my captain who's graduating is going to help us watch games, and my goalkeeper coach. So we're going to be all in, all 4 of us, getting in there this weekend and getting after it and trying to find the best players we can to bring here. But for us, it's a year-round process. We're texting, we're emailing, we're doing virtual tours of our facility on Zoom, kind of like what you and I are doing today, but I'll put it on my phone and we'll start the interview like this, and we'll talk for 5 minutes, get to know each other, and then I'll flip the camera around on my phone and I'll literally walk around the facility and show the recruit, what we have to offer, and talk to him during that. And then at the end, I'll sit down in the bleachers on the other side of the field, and I will flip the camera back around and allow that student athlete to ask me some questions. So that's one way to connect with them, where they don't have to spend an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours driving here and a whole day away from school or the parents from work to get to know, our facility. And we do have an amazing facility here. As you know, being a D3 boy yourself, I'm a D3 boy. I played here at Methodist for Alan Dawson in the 90s when we were ranked number 1 in the nation. Of course, Coach is up at Old Dominion now, and he's been there for 26 years. But he was here for 9 years, and I was lucky enough to play for him. And, when I came on campus as a freshman in 1992, I drove onto campus and I saw this amazing building that I'm sitting in that has locker rooms for both women and men. It has the offices upstairs. It's very European in that feel, because the 2 boys who created it, one's Joe Pereira from Portugal, and then also Alan Dawson from Belfast, Northern Ireland. So we have this great building, very European setup with the locker rooms downstairs, the offices upstairs. It was always my goal in my 20 years so far to improve the facility, to have it look different than when it did when I walked on campus in 1992. And we have spent about $1 million over the past 5 years on the facility, including TV-ready lights, 200 chair-back seats, concession stand, bathrooms for the visitors, for the families, and then a brand new, beautiful wrought iron fence that goes all the way around the outside. So in my opinion, it's one of the top Division III stadiums in the nation. It is probably in the top 5 to 10 soccer specific stadiums for Division III, because in Division III, you'll find a lot of facilities that have beautiful, amazing things to offer for student athletes, but they're football, lacrosse, and soccer, and a lot of them are turf. And so we're natural grass, Bermuda, Tifton, 419, amazing stadiums, soccer specific. So you're not going to find a lot of those that can compete with this facility. So that all kind of feeds into recruiting. And of course, our tradition in soccer is very helpful. Our success in the past and recently in the past 20 years when I've been here. So it all feeds into recruiting. It's all super important, talking to athletes about what they want to do and how they want to approach the game. And so it's not just, this guy sitting in the seat. It's where they're going to play every day. It's who they're going to play against. It's what the training facility is like. We have the Jordan Soccer Complex, which is an 8-field Bermuda Tifton soccer complex on our campus. There's not a lot of Division III schools or Division I schools that can say they have 8 soccer fields to practice on. So we're blessed with a history of guys that knew what they were doing, that wanted to make it a top place and attraction for athletes, and we're doing that and keeping that tradition alive. So I'm excited to be out there recruiting this weekend.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen it, folks, look it up, the pictures, just to see that facility. It's top notch. It really is awesome. So you're going to Raleigh, right, for the showcase. How is it that you see you got a lot of staff going too? How is it that you guys have decided who you're going to see? I'm guessing you're not just randomly showing up to games and hoping to find the diamond in the rough and that whole thing. And I mean, I know the answer to this question, but tell me how you guys really decide who gets the looks and what you're going to see.
I mean, a lot of it has to do with location. We know who we can get. We know who generally attends our university, what states they're from. We're generally not getting a kid from Wisconsin. We're generally not getting a kid from Iowa. So we're focusing on, first and foremost, North Carolina. The teams in North Carolina, especially the ECNL Regional League teams from North Carolina, and then all of the best teams from North Carolina, we're circling them to make sure we watch them. And then you start to go out from there. We're going to watch the Virginia teams. We're going to watch the Maryland teams. Or we're going to watch the Pennsylvania teams, the New Jersey teams, and then so on up there. And then the opposite way, we're going to watch the South Carolina teams. We're going to watch the Georgia teams, and we're going to watch the Florida teams. So basically encompassing the East Coast, trying to make sure that we start from North Carolina and move outwards and make sure that we're seeing the best teams from those, regions and states, and just don't miss anything. Don't allow fatigue or any kind of schedule to get in our way. And just, we actually spend lots of time looking at, all right, you're going to be here on these 2 fields. I'm going to be on these 3 fields in this 8 o'clock hour. I'm going to watch 3 games you're going to watch 3 games, then I'm going to go to these 3 fields, we'll watch these 3 games. So we're not kind of, I see a lot of coaches out there like literally walking around together with their assistant. And I understand if you're trying to educate him on what you want in a player. I did that at first with my assistant Evan, but now that he knows what we want, I don't need to hold his hand. We don't need to walk around together. We can get more coverage and we can watch kids more if we separate. And so, we're looking at, there's so many facilities in Raleigh. So they're playing in literally like 10 or 12 different places, but we're focusing on WRAL because we believe we can watch every U19 team that we feel is going to influence our team in the entire weekend. So Friday, we've already picked out like 6 groups that are going to be at WRAL. We know that on Saturday, these 4 groups are going to be at WRAL. And then on Sunday, the last groups are going to be at WRAL. And so in that time period, we can watch all of the 19s teams at WRAL, park our cars, and just walk from pitch to pitch and be efficient. And then, from that standpoint, what am I doing with my captain and my goalkeeper coach? My captain is going to be a volunteer coach, so we're trying to educate him. So I'll bring him around with me and I'll show him what to do, get him kind of comfortable what we're doing. And then by Saturday or Sunday, I'm like, all right, Daniel, go watch this under 17 team so that we can prepare for the 24s and the 25s down the road. Because literally we're looking at right now, probably already 600 kids in our database. And we're starting here and kind of whittling it down. And hopefully we can get 75 to 100 of them to apply. And then maybe 40 to 50 visits. And then from there, that's how we get to our class of players, which will probably be hopefully 10 or 12 players total for the next year. So how we do it, I think it's a pretty complicated science experiment, but it's really not that difficult in terms of, we don't leave any stone unturned. And I think that's really what's important is we're grinding, as they say.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the school itself, as there's folks out there who may not know anything about Methodist. So besides what I'm going to find on the website, and what you talked about with the facilities, give me some awesome things about the school that maybe we wouldn't know.
Yeah, so Methodist is located in Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is the 5th largest city in North Carolina. It was originally the capital of North Carolina before Raleigh. It is in what I think is probably the best location for travel in North Carolina because of its proximity to the I-95 corridor. So you can get north to Washington, D.C. in 5 hours, and you can be in Jacksonville, Florida in 5 hours. A lot of places in North Carolina are beautiful, just like where we are, but they're a little bit harder to travel around the country, and especially driving. Flying, we have our own regional airport. So kids that live in Florida that are on our team, can fly straight into Fayetteville via Atlanta and Charlotte airports. So that's one way to get to school. And a lot of kids don't think about that kind of stuff when they're looking at school is, all right, I picked this school, but how do I get there? How do I get Thanksgiving? How do I go home for Christmas? And so, having ease of travel is really important. I'm from Connecticut originally, and I used to drive myself to college. It was 10 hours, but it was straight down 95. There's no turns. You're not getting lost. We didn't have Google Maps back then in the 90s. So it was just get on 95 and go straight. And I think from that standpoint, our location is an attraction to, families and the cost of traveling is reduced when you have ease of travel. So I think that's wonderful. We're an hour and a half from the beach. From Wilmington, we're an hour from Raleigh. So if you want to fly on a major airline directly to a major city, you can jump up to RDU and get anywhere. Every 4 years, we go on an international tour, and we've been doing that now for my entire 20 years. We've been on 5 tours, and we always leave directly out of Raleigh-Durham to wherever we're going to across the world. We did Spain in 2020, and now we're going to Germany in 2024. So ease of travel is really important. I think that's a big attraction for us. We're a small Division III school. We have about 1,500 students. We have over 80 majors, undergraduate majors. We have 3 postgraduate degrees that include an MBA in business, and we have the occupational therapy degree, which is a 7-year degree, and then the PA program, which is a 6-year degree, and huge attraction for those postgraduate degrees. Those are hard to get into, but if you do graduate from Methodist, you have preferential admittance to those programs. So, the people that are looking for those types of majors, it should be a good attraction to them. We have 1,100 beds on campus. So we have capability of, having as many as 1,100 students that live on campus. Right now, we're hovering at about 900 that live on campus. And we have all types of dormitories, from apartments to a brand new dorm that kind of looks like a hotel, to the original type dorms where it's a community style dorm where you walk down the hallway to the bathroom. So every program, including soccer, has their own facility where you have offices and stadiums. We have an 18-hole golf course on campus, which I would say that our golf teams are amazing, national champions many times over. And then, of course, like I said before, we have the Jordan Soccer Complex on our campus. So it's a huge campus. There's 600 acres of property. And the really cool part of it is the way you drive onto campus. I'm looking out the window at it right now. The way you enter campus, the only way to enter and exit campus is right here at the front where the soccer stadium is. So the first thing you're going to see when you come on campus is our beautiful Duggan Soccer Stadium. So, we have a great tradition of soccer at a small private school. And it's just a wonderful place to bring your child. And I have an 18-year-old and a 14-year-old. So I know what parents are looking for. And I think it's a safe, closed environment that you can rely that they'll be looked after by the coaching staff, that they're going to study, they're going to have study hall. They're going to be in a place that everyone around them is going to be supporting them, trying to make sure they're successful. So
that's awesome.
I'm a Methodist grad, so I'm a little biased, but I just think it's just a wonderful place for student athletes.
Well, let's go back to being in the season, right? And you talked about the facilities and the academics. And so can you walk me through an average week of a student athlete that's on the men's soccer team, in terms of when are classes, when are meals, when is practice, what's kind of the game cadence and travel look like on a normal week?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything ordinary about being a student athlete in college, at whether you're going to play for NC State or Methodist. Those people that are able to do that and accomplish it are amazing people. It takes a lot of time management, it takes a lot of effort and belief in themselves. But how a regular week in college goes. So, let's look at 2 different weeks of what happened to us this year. So in the first week of our season, we did a big trip to Boston. As you can see, I'm wearing the shirt that we created for the trip. So the first week of the season, you know, they went to class on Monday. We had training. They would have class from 9 to 12, lunch, maybe another class, and then training is at 3:30 to 5:30. And then they would go to dinner, and then they'll go directly to study hall. Then on Tuesday, we'll do that all again. And Wednesday, we're flying out to Boston. We fly out, we go directly into Boston, go right to the New England Revolution Training Center, train with New England Revolution on their facility. Terranova, my old friend, allowed us to get in there and do some training. Then we went directly to MLS game, watched them against Chicago Fire. The next day, we went on a kayaking tour, some team bonding. Then Friday, we played our first match against New England College. Then Saturday, we played a reserve game at 9 a.m. Then we went into Boston. We walked around Boston, went to Quincy Market, walked 2.5 miles over to Fenway, watched the Red Sox play. And then Sunday, we played our second match against University of Maine, Prescott Isle. We ended up drawing 1-1. We were knackered by that point. And then we flew home. So that was the first week of the season. That's intense. That's a lot. But then let's just look at, you know, the last week of the season. We had practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then played a match on Saturday. Because by that time we're in the conference and we're having less matches. We're only having Saturday or Wednesday matches. And then that week we didn't have a match on Wednesday, which I thought was great. And we're preparing for the conference tournament after that. But it was more of a normal week for the guys where they go to class and then they train, get up and do it all over again. And that's when we really get stuff accomplished as coaches, like the finer details of set plays and systems and preparing for opponents, stuff like that. But the first week of the season, you're just trying to keep the right clothes on and make the match and wake up after 5 hours of sleep and do it all over again. So, yeah, I mean, these guys and girls that get it done as a student athlete, it's just amazing what they do, and the time and effort they put into it, to me, is incredible.
For sure. Well, you actually mentioned something there about a reserve game. Is there a roster size you're trying to hit? Do you guys have a true varsity and reserve team? How does that work?
We have, our number is 35. That's given to us by the institution to achieve. And that kind of dictates that we're not too big, but we're not more like 24, which is what you're going to see mostly in Division I. So that 35 number allows us to have some reserve games, but we're not like carrying 60 like some of these other institutions are, where they have to create like a full-on, totally different schedule for the reserve team. We're kind of treating it really like a professional environment where everybody trains together, and then we will pull out a group of players to play a reserve game because we want to see them play again, or they're also not playing enough. And so we need to see them play more, or maybe someone got injured and they missed 4 games. Now they're coming back and they need some time. So we'll utilize the reserve games to keep everybody on their toes. This year we only played 2. We want to play like 3 or 4. And we had 3 scheduled. We canceled one because at that time we had like 5 injuries. And if you pull 5 out of 35 and you have 4 keepers, now you're looking at 30 or 26 players. And if you're trying to pull 14 players out of 26 to play a reserve game, you're already dipping into first team players. So we kind of balance our schedule as best we can. We want to provide more reserve games. It just depends on where we're at in the season, who's healthy. But we're not playing 10 reserve games like some schools are in our league. One of our opponents does that. And then a lot of Division II schools are actually creating reserve team leagues. There's one in North Carolina. We're not quite to that moment. I don't anticipate we will be in that moment. We want to play those teams, but we can never consistently produce enough of a roster to play 10 games. It would hurt the first team as much as it would help it. So I would rather not distract from our first team games just because we're trying to play some reserve games. I would rather place them strategically within the season, like every 2 to 2.5 weeks, where the guys can continue to get, the guys that are not getting enough minutes continue to develop, and they get to play minutes, and we get to video them and review that video as well. So every game is being videoed. We have Huddle AI on the roof of the building, and all of our training sessions and all of our games are videoed through that. And I can just take my phone and turn it on right now if I want to. But I think that's really important for the guys to review and see where they're at. It's a delicate balance, but to answer your question more directly, we're training as a unit all together all the time. Everyone is trained the same way in the same manner every day. And then when we need to play reserve games, we'll pull a group out and say, okay, on Tuesday, these are the 15 guys that are going to play, and we suit them up and play a match. So
awesome. Well, Coach, you've been super with your time and detailed into your program, and it's been awesome. And I always like to end these the same way, and that's, what didn't we talk about? What else would you want folks to know, whether it's about the recruiting process, the school, your team, or anything else like that? I leave you with the last word.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, this is my 20th season. I have the best staff I've ever had, and I really think that what the women are doing here at Methodist, my friend Brian, his team doing really well. There's a really good buzz around the university soccer program. We have faculty and staff that are supporting us in the best way. So we're in a really good moment with our facility, with our support staff, with our coaching staff being so in tune, with our programs being so aligned. The women are probably going to come with us on the tour of Europe. So we're looking at that as well, being, a good synergy. You couldn't find a better moment to be a soccer person in the United States. The World Cup is going on. It's been so awesome to watch games. I think I saw almost all 48 games before the knockout round. So it was just soccer heaven right now for a person who played Division III and loves his university. It's a good time to be in charge of a place like this. And it's a great time to be a student athlete. There's so many options out there for players. I just want them to keep their minds open about what's best for them, because they all want to play in college. And of course, they all want to play at the highest level that they can. And I think we can provide that challenge for a lot of players in youth soccer, and America is in a really good place with soccer. It's come so far, and I can only imagine where we're headed for 2026 when we host the World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to that for sure. Well, Coach, best of luck with your recruiting this weekend in Raleigh and getting your team set for next year. And if you're in Philly for the convention, be sure to swing by the table and say hello. Would love to see you in person, or maybe I'll see you if you're down this way and in Bradenton for some of these recruiting events. So
thank you, Matt. I appreciate you bringing us on here and spotlighting us. I love this type of format. I think it's wonderful for guys on social media to get out there and see, and listen to coaches and what they have to feedback for them. So looking forward to seeing it on social media soon.
Absolutely. And then you tell Coach Brian he's next, right? We'll get the women
Yeah.
on here and talk
He's
about
he's
them.
out there right now. I'll tell him next up.
Sounds good. All right, Coach. Thanks again.
All right, Matt, have a great day. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.